gang. Let's work on another Sunday school lesson. Lesson 1 was about Moses being born, Moses being called. Lesson 2 was about Moses going back and he and Aaron, and Moses going into the Pharaoh and saying, I'm here to take the people out. And the Pharaoh, yeah, right. And so Aaron throws his rod down. His rod eats all the rods of the magicians. And so the battle is set up. The challenge is set up. Lesson 3 was about the 10 plagues. You know, the first were the river plagues, the blood, the frogs, the gnats. The second were the barn plagues, flies, cows, and dust to boils. And the third section of plagues were the field plagues, hail, locusts, darkness, deep, deep darkness. And of course the 10th plague is the death of the firstborn male in every house that did not have the blood on the doorposts, and that's Passover. And again, we're reminded of Passover many times, and it talks about it much in the life of Jesus. And our substitute for that ceremony is communion. We are under the blood. Jesus died for us that we might have life. And so the 10 plagues finally, you know, at 12:15 or whatever that next morning, the death angel comes over at midnight. The Pharaoh calls them in and says, leave now. And the people say, please leave, take anything you want. Okay, that was lesson 133. This is lesson 134. And again, we're working our way through the children of Israel leaving Egypt, headed back to the Promised Land. After some 400 years of, it's even getting longer than that, but you know, God had promised it to Abraham, He promised it to Isaac, He promised it to Jacob. And then Jacob, finally, his family is moved down to Goshen, a place, a very fertile place, a very good place in Egypt. But the Egyptians do not like the Israelites, so it protected them, so they didn't become polluted by the world. They lived in a greenhouse. In the spring, you put your little tomato plant in the ground or in a little pot, and you put it in a greenhouse. You keep it warm, you keep it happy, you keep it safe. And the little tomato plant grows up, and when it gets to be about that big, then you'll put it outdoors where the wind, the cold, the grasshoppers, the sun, the hail, the rain, you know, all things can beat on it. But you started off in a greenhouse, in protection. So God puts His people, in some senses, in protection. The Egyptians don't like Him. He's got them down there protecting them. He's protecting them from the evil peoples, from the immoral peoples, from the false worship peoples back up in the Promised Land, back up in Canaan. After His nation becomes strong, big, now He's going to lead them out and lead them up and give them the Promised Land. But 400 years. All right, so God now is breaking the Pharaoh. You understand all that, and they're leaving. So at midnight, the people gather up things. They gather up their stuff. They get goodies from the Egyptians, and off they go into the wild blue yonder. Now, again, just even thinking about direction, let me just draw you a quickie map here. Oh, you like my maps, right? I know you do. Okay, so this is the what? The Great Sea, right? The Great Sea, and then down here is the Nile, right? The Nile here. So here's Goshen. This is Goshen. This is where they lived. Here is the promise, right here. This is the Promised Land, right here. Okay. Down here is Mount Sinai. Now you would think that God would just lead them right along the coast. I mean, it's an easy trip right up here, like this, right? That's flat along the coastline and stuff. That's an easy run. No, He leads them this way. He leads them over here, down to Mount Sinai. It's like 90 degrees off course. You know, sometimes your mom and dad think, I don't know what God's up to here. It looks like we're going the wrong direction. It looks like we're going to, you know, why are we going this way? Why are we not going that way? The Promised Land, the shortest way is there. But God doesn't always do it our way, does it? His ways are not our ways, says Isaiah in chapter 55. So they're gonna head off here, and they're gonna go for about 3 days. Okay. So on your lesson plan, I think you've got it right here. A is a trip from Egypt to B, and I just call that home. back home. Okay, back to where Abraham is buried, back to where Isaac is buried, back to they're taking Joseph's bones with them. Remember, Joseph had told them, when I die, keep my bones. When you go back, take me with you. So they're going to take the casket. They're going to take his bones with them. So on your study here, A is a trip from Egypt to home. From A to B would be short and easy. But God led them from A to C. Look at that, 90 degrees. Does God know what he's doing? Yes. Does it always make sense to us? No. So what do? We trust him. The story of Job. What in the world's happening to me? Job was a good guy. God says, have you considered my servant Job? There's none like him. He's upright. He's great. He does everything well. He prays for his kids. He serves others. He's a great guy. And he was. And so then all of a sudden, his whole world just collapses. All his camels, his donkeys, his servants, and pretty soon his kids are all dead. Pretty soon his health is shot. What in the world is God doing or allowing? There are times where we don't always understand what God is doing. That doesn't change a truth. God knows what he's doing. God says, trust me. I'll get you through this. Trust me. I'm up to something. Trust me. It's going to work. I'm going to touch a lot of people, and there's going to be blessings to come. Just trust me. Well, I don't like what you're doing. Okay. Trust him. Okay. So God leads them from A to C. Now they get see those little bubbles right there I've got right here. That today is the Suez Canal. They connected all those. They're a little string of lakes. They connected all those. So now that's the Suez Canal. You've probably heard about that, which was opened in, I think, 1859, a long time ago. Well, they come down and they're leaving. Of course, they're leaving Goshen, and they come over here, and they come up against one of these lakes. And the problem there is that first of all they get across this, but the trouble is they can't go north or south to get away from. They don't have time because they're being pursued by the Pharaoh's army. So he's coming after them. So they're stopped at D with Egypt's army behind them. All right, Exodus 14:9. And it says, so the Egyptians pursued all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, his horsemen, his army, and they overtook them by the sea besides Pi-hahiroth, beside Baal-zephon. And the Pharaoh drew near, the children of Israel lifted their eyes, and behold, and the Egyptians marched after them, so they were afraid. Then the children cried out to the Lord, and the Lord said to Moses, because there was no graves in Egypt, have you taken us to die in the wilderness? The people say to Moses, oh, so we didn't die in Egypt, you bring us out here to die. So the army is coming, and they're trapped, and it says in 13 and 14, he says, and Moses said to the people, do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will do today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you're going to see no more. So God, in some senses, he led his people, and remember, he's leading them. What's he leading them with? A cloud? And at night it's full of fire, right? So that at night they know where he's at. He's got to give them a big night light. And in the day, he gives them shade. So he's leading them, and he's led them to this water. They're stuck right there. Here comes the army. You know what God's doing? Come here, Pharaoh. Come here, come here, come here, come here. Because if God had not destroyed them there, then every day they would have been looking behind them to see if there's dust coming. Is the Pharaoh's army coming? Because he could have chased them all the way down to Sinai. He could to Mount Sinai, to Mount Horeb. He could have chased them all the way. He was a massive army. He was a powerful army. Chariots. It was a fast army. They would have always been living in fear, looking over their shoulder. God says, my people aren't going to live in fear. My people don't have to worry about that. I'm going to take care of those guys. So God's telling the army, come here, come here, come here, come here. So you're going to see them no more. The pillar of fire moved. So what happens is the fire had led them to D, so now it moves around behind them, and between it separates the army from the children of Israel, the fire. God's standing there. He's standing between. The army can't get to his people because he's blocking them. In fact, it says it's dark on where they're at, the Egyptian army. Over here is light. Okay, so it says the pillar of fire moved. Moses raised, 21:22, stretched out his hand. The Lord caused the sea to go back with a strong wind. So the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea on dry ground, and the waters were a wall to them on their right and on their left. Then the pillar lifted, and the Egyptians pursued. So Moses raises his hand, stretch out your hand over the sea, and then the waters in 27. When Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. When the morning appeared, the sea turned to its full depth while the Egyptians were fleeing into it. So the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. The waters came back, and all the army died. God did kill most of them. He killed all of them. Never again would they have to worry about the army coming after them. Exodus 15, so drop down to your box on this side, and then we'll catch this one. On this side, Exodus 15, while we're there, it says in 15:1, and Moses and the children of Israel sang this song. And let me just say that that's the men, because look what it says in verse 20. Then Miriam and the prophetess, his sister, took the timbrel, and all the women went out after her. So the men are singing a song of salvation. Then the women respond. Miriam leads the women, and the women respond. The men are worshiping. The men are saying, great is our God. What's he say? I will sing to the Lord. He has triumphed gloriously. The horse and the rider is thrown in the sea. The Lord is my strength. The Lord is my song. He has become my salvation. He is my God. I will praise him. So who's singing? The men. He is my my salvation, or all waters God. He is my God. Who's saying he is my God? The Lord reigns. In verse 18, the Lord reigns. The Lord shall reign forever and ever. And again, then who's singing? Then the women are singing. So the answers there are: who's saying? The men. He is my God. The Lord reigns forever. Who sings? The women. And in 21 it says, sing to the Lord. So all of us, we should sing to the Lord. Do you realize how God has saved you? How God has carried you? How God has defeated enemies? How God is able to do anything and everything? What a great God. So we should sing. And men should lead. Men should be spiritual leaders in their homes, at church. Men should be singers and celebrators and worshipers of God, right? And women too. But men should be the leaders. Men should function as the head. So sing to the Lord. 15:21, sing to the Lord. All right. I want to back up about this crossing of the Red Sea, because Psalm 77 gives us some insights that we really don't think about, we don't see often, about crossing the Red Sea, what God was doing there. So Psalm 77, verse 16, and it says, the water saw you, O God, the water saw you, and the depths trembled. You know, I like to say, so here's this lake, and God all of a sudden goes, boom, ah! Scared the water. The water races away. You know, when somebody scares you, you want to flee. You want to get out of there, right? So it says, the water saw you, God, the water saw you, and they were afraid. Then it also says, the depths trembled. Earthquakes kind of stuff. The clouds poured. So there's water, the clouds overhead, they're pouring out water. The skies, a sound, which is what? When the skies make a sound, we call that what? Thunder. And arrows flash. What are we talking? Lightning. So this place is crazy. Here you got the cloud. Here's an army. Pharaoh's army stopped. Here you got the children of Israel. Overhead you've got this great storm that starts kicking in. Below, in front of you is the water, and all of a sudden it's going this direction because God scares it. Verse 18, the voice of your thunder was in the whirlwind. I mean, this is tornadic. This is crazy weather, crazy water coming down, lightning and thunder and whirling, swirling winds, lightning. The earth trembled, earthquake. This place is nuts. It's kind of like, you know, God just reaches down, he stomps the earth. The place shakes, rattles, and rolls. Your way's in the sea. Well, all of a sudden what happens? It's all dry in front of them. Your way in the sea. Your path in the great waters, your footsteps were not known. God showed, you led your people like a flock. You led them through by the hand of Moses and Aaron. So that's a picture we usually don't think of, do we? When we think about them crossing, how crazy it was all around them. Sometimes the world gets all crazy around us. You know, I'm reminded of the disciples in a boat, and the boat was being tipped, and the boat was being like this, like this, like this, and I did, Well, Jesus is in the boat, and Jesus isn't concerned. What's Jesus doing? You know the story. He's sleeping. What? I'm over the side puking. This place is nuts. And they finally wake Jesus up. Do you not care? We're about ready to die. Please, come on, help us. Oh. And Jesus said, what's your issue? Hey, wind, waves, stop it. Yikes. They were really frightened then. Even the wind and the waves obey him. Yow. So if you're children of Israel, you got the Pharaoh's army behind you, you got crazy all over you, you've got crazy all around you, earthquakes and water gone, right? So here's your blanks. It says that the depths saw and they trembled. The clouds did rain. The skies poured forth. I don't have my answers here right, do I? The depths trembled. The men trembled, and the dry appeared. Dry land appeared. Let me see here. The dry land appeared, and then lastly they walked on. They walked on dry. Oh, excuse me, not dry. The path appeared. There we go. He says, what did he say? He says, a path appeared in the great waters. A path appeared in the great waters. The earth trembled. I'm working my way back up. So dry path, or working my way back up. The earth, the skies roared. The skies roared. The clouds poured rain, dumping rain. The depths trembled. Depths trembled. Okay, that's the earthquake thing. And then the waters, I didn't do very well on you getting you through that. The waters saw God. So the waters saw God, boo. The depths trembled, earthquake. The clouds poured rain. The skies roared. The earth trembled. And a path appeared. And they walked on dry ground. What a great God. Troubles? We're stopped. We can't get across this water. We got Pharaoh's army behind us. We're stuck. God, you brought us out here to die. We can't do that. God says, trust me, I can handle it. Trust me, believe me. And so does God get them through? Absolutely. And what's he doing? He's getting rid of the bad guys. They'll never chase them again. Never again. It was a beautiful thing that God did, but it was scary at the time. So sometimes life gets a little frightening, a little difficult. Trust God. God says, I got it. I can take care of this. Trust me. Even though it doesn't feel good, even though it seems scary, trust me. We have a great God, so may we trust him. All right, very good. That's lesson 134. We're moving the children of Israel out of Egypt, and we're going to take them down to Mount Sinai where they're going to get how to worship God and how to serve God. Remember, he said, let my people go that they may worship me and serve me. He's going to give them those ideas down at Mount Sinai with the tabernacle and with the law. And that's true for us too. Okay, we'll continue our journey with them next time. Bye-bye.